Some car mods just make sense, and others, these are the best and worst car mods. Starting off strong with aftermarket steering wheels, this mod is perfect if you're using your car on the track, or at least in a scenario where you're going to be running into things all the time. If you're going to use a steering wheel like this, it's good to have harnesses and other safety equipment now that you don't have airbags. That's why I think it's a little bit of a weird mod to do to your daily driver, because you're going to be daily driving with a helmet now. No more airbags. Oops. It's probably not going to feel great when you hydroplane into a guardrail and slam your head into that cheap Taiwanese replica steering wheel, which is probably made out of cardboard. While aftermarket steering wheels can look cool as crap when you buy the right one, they can also look quite silly. The respectable opinions of the fellow car meat enjoyers will probably not approve. 9 times out of 10, the stock steering wheel works just fine. But if you're convinced that you need the benefits from a proper aftermarket steering wheel, then it's definitely worth it. Don't cheap out, bud. Removing your AC. Have you ever wanted free and easy horsepower? Yippee! Well, removing your AC is probably the easiest way to gain a couple of ponies. But why? It's because your AC adds rotational drag to the engine, since it's usually powered by a belt from your crankshaft. After you remove it, your engine isn't sending any power to the stupid climate control. It's just all going straight to the wheel. Okay, I'll be honest, you're probably not going to notice a difference, but it still helps if you're trying to juice every last horse out of your engine. Also, the AC unit itself can weigh around like 30 to 45 pounds, so if you remove it, you're at least getting a little bit of weight reduction. That's like how much a toddler weighs, right? I will personally not be doing this mod though. During the hot summers, minutes will feel like hours when you're sitting in the car. You'll probably be roasted alive. If I'm sitting in the McDonald's drive-thru waiting for my Big Mac, I do not want to be feeling like a baked potato. Also, my Big Mac-sized passengers are guaranteed to be complaining. Removing your AC is really only for the strong and brave. For those who are chasing every last bit of performance from their car, I just wouldn't do it to my daily. Interior and exterior RGB lights. Do you want to stand out? Do you want everybody to look at your awesome race car? Do you want to be the lighthouse in the storm? Well, I have the perfect mod for you. Throw some lights on your car. If you have a riced out GT86 or a squatted GMC, this is the perfect mod for you. 90 times out of 100, I think light kits look a little bit funny, but I would be lying if I said that underglow couldn't look cool. I know I definitely felt some way when I watched Dom Toretto and his team pull up to the truck heist in Fast and Furious with their kitted out Civic rocking some sick green underglow. Like, it can be done, guys. It can look good. Is the outside not enough? Hop on the TikTok shop and grab some interior lights. Now you can see your feet while you drive. Nice. I think the Starlight headliners actually look pretty cool most of the time. They kind of look like a 2017 RGB keyboard, but I really like it, and it's totally fine if you're into that. You'll mostly see these mods in high schoolers' cars because car lights are like the gateway drug to car modding. Gutted interior. This mod is not for the weak. Do not do this to your car unless you're ready to go full race car mode. If you remove basically everything, the rear seats, passenger seat, carpet, sound deadening, headliner, door panels, center console, HVAC, and interior panels, you could expect to lose 150 to 350 pounds depending on your car, which is massive. But do you know what else is massive? The downsides to removing all of this. You will no longer be able to drive your friends around. You will need to drive with your music on full blast, since the vibrations from the road, engine, and even the transmission will be amplified tremendously. Since you have no sound deadening, literally every pebble you run over will be as loud as crap. If you're ready to face the psychological effects of this mod, then it's awesome. But if you don't want to dread driving your car every day, then this mod is not worth it. And now, one from my personal collection, bucket seats. Do you miss being hugged and loved? I have great news for you. The bucket seat is an amazing hugger, and it'll keep your ass from moving even an inch. Even if you're tumbling down a mountain, you will not budge if you're in a bucket seat. Why would you want this though? Bucket seats help you drive much better. Since you won't have to brace yourself while going through corners, you can focus on the road and the awesome stuff that you're doing instead. These seats are snug and cozy if you buy some nice ones, and will keep you super safe, although it might interfere with some fancy airbag systems. So far, this mod sounds like a no-brainer, right? Well, there's some drawbacks. Sometimes bucket seats can look very out of place. If your car is as slow as shit and you install bucket seats, it's kind of of like wearing a Cuban link in the trenches. They're also super annoying to get in and out of, especially if you have a fat ass like myself. This is a drawback if you're trying to pick up tortas, but overall the bucket seat is a very solid mod with very small downsides. Aftermarket gauges. This is a super solid mod that is extremely useful. Whether you want to push your car to its absolute limits, or if you just want to keep things reliable, installing some aftermarket gauges to monitor your car is super helpful. You can see the oil temperature, water temperature, boost if your car is boosted, air fuel ratio, volts, and probably the most important gauge of all, oil pressure. Having these gauges installed will let you know if you're pushing your car too hard or if something is just wrong with it. Gauges can be a pain in the ass to install, especially if your brain works like mine. You need to hook up all these different wires and fuses, all while trying not to make a fire hazard. That being said, aftermarket gauges are 100% worth it. Definitely one of the best mods you can do to your car, even if it's your daily driver. Cold air intake. The cold air intake is another super easy mod that you can do to your car. I'm sure you've probably heard this 1,000 times before, but if you're doing a cold air intake mod, please route it to a spot that actually pulls in cold air. If you just plop that crap in the middle of your tiny engine bay, it's gonna make your car slow. So where should you put it? Try to route it behind a front bumper, behind a headlight, or even outside the hood if you're really cool. But sometimes it can be closer to the engine if you have a reasonable heat shield. Now, if you're not really chasing performance, you could just throw out the stock air box and then throw a cone intake on. You'll hear some really awesome engine noises. Also, if you want a cone intake and you have a turboed car, then it doesn't really matter as much where you put it, because the intercooler is probably going to cool the air for you, and you don't have to be as careful of like not letting that shit get hot. Overall, if you do it right, this is a good mod. It's kind of known to be like another gateway drug mod though.
Turbo in your engine.
Putting a turbo on your engine is an amazing mod for making more power, but it can also be extremely pricey and sometimes inefficient depending on how well your engine can handle boost. Some engines will blow up with just a few pounds of boost, and some engines will take that shit like a good boy. All you need to do is slap on a turbo with some supporting mods like an intercooler, fuel pump, and ECU, and then you're good to go. A great example of this is the 2JZ GE engines. The GE ones are the engines with no turbo from the factory, and they have larger intake ports, so people prefer to put a turbo on these because they're cheaper to buy up front and easier to make power with later. These engines are a great example because they can handle a lot of boost, but you have to do some good supporting mods. To bulletproof this engine, you're going to need some ARP head studs and definitely a new head gasket. So should you turbo your car? Well, unless you're willing to do all the supporting mods to bulletproof your engine before putting a turbo on, probably not. The muffler delete. A high school student's favorite exhaust mod. This mod is like Anakin Skywalker turning to the dark side and killing all of the younglings. You're willing to sacrifice all of your social acceptance for the thrill of driving a loud-ass, fart-can-ass car. You might be considered a menace, but you don't care since you're just doing this mod for the pure enjoyment. This is probably the cheapest exhaust mod that you can do too. If you go full dark sight and straight pipe your car, you could actually feel a reasonable horsepower gain without a tune, especially if your car is boosted. Since turbos are driven by the exhaust, they would be pretty happy with a higher flowing exhaust system. You might also notice a difference with supercharged engines. While some cars will actually sound great with a muffler delete, other cars could sound like they're straight out of SpongeBob. Do some research. Maybe your engine sounds great with a muffler delete. Maybe not. If you're willing to put in the time and effort, try an aftermarket exhaust setup instead. Disclaimer: if you live in California and modify your exhaust, expect a visit from the FBI, ATF, CIA, and National Guard.